once again, people, this is your boy Political Hamzy. If you do like this content, please click the like button, the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell. Talking all things Nigeria, keeping it sweet, nice and simple. Today we're going to talk about, is Nigeria turning into a Gestapo, Stasi, or is it becoming a police state? The joys of democracy is civil liberties and freedom of speech. Yes, we can't lay everything down on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tenure, but this has started right from President Muhammad Buhari's tenure as president, but it's now become more prominent since Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been president. And what makes it worse for people since President Tinubu became president is because of his role in the democracy movement. And the whole point about his democracy movement was freedom of speech, and people just being free, living under a democratic dispensation whereby you're able to voice your opinions without ramifications, without the police coming for you, without the state hunting you down. But now he's become president. We've seen this all too frequently play out under his tenure. We've had human rights activists, we've had protesters, we've had social media influencers. Each time they say something about the government, not even saying something about the government, they highlight what the government has not done. They're exercising their right to freedom of speech. The police is now being used as an instrument to hunt them down, arrest them, just based on they said something. Democracy is all about freedom of speech. We've seen in America when Donald Trump was the president, what was said about him, what was written. So that means if that was Nigeria, they did that, everybody would have been arrested, everybody would have been hunted down. Even in the United Kingdom, we've seen the press, we've seen people on social media talking about the government, but it doesn't give the government the right to come after them. They're like, part of democracy is freedom of speech. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being a pro-democracy activist, being a member of former NADECO member, he knows all too well the importance about freedom of speech. But now he has come into power. Freedom of speech is being killed. No matter the reforms, economic reforms or social reforms you carry out as a government, once you block freedom of speech, you kill democracy. We can see the case of the civil rights activist lawyer Dele Farutimi. He wrote a book about corruption in the judiciary, and they said, in that book he mentioned Afe Babalola and his influence with corrupting the judiciary. Now he got arrested. But the thing was that the case was filed in Ekiti State, but they came down to Lagos to arrest him. Just imagine this. Somebody does something in Anambra State, says something against Governor Sanwo-Olu, and they dispatch a police unit all the way from Lagos to arrest that person in Anambra State. What is the procedure? The procedure is that the Ekiti Police Command, through the Commissioner of Police in Ekiti State, is meant to get in touch with the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, and Lagos State, in conjunction with Ekiti State, carries out this arrest. But no, the modus operandi has been changed, the ball has been moved. It's like the police are there to serve the rich. You cannot talk about anybody. It's like when they made these laws, this new law that the Senate signed about you talking about the government on social media, it's so vague. They now made it in a way that anything you say about the government of the day or people in government is almost like an act of treason. It's like you're inciting violence. It's almost like terrorism. And you ask yourself, the way you go after people exercising their rights to freedom of speech, if you went after Boko Haram and the herdsmen like that, wouldn't Nigeria be safe? it's like the police are no more there to protect the masses. The police are there to protect the rich and to carry out what the rich want for themselves. It's such a shame since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power. So many people were singing his praises, how he transformed Lagos State, how being a pro-democracy activist, things would change. But now, tell me the difference between Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government and a military regime. The only difference is the uniform. The amount of arrest and the way people's civil liberties and right to freedom of speech have been clipped under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's no different to the tenure of President General Sani Abacha. We all know Sani Abacha is a ruthless dictator. Sometimes you don't need to wear a military uniform to be a dictator. We saw what has happened in Syria. They complained, look, Assad, shackled civil rights. You couldn't protest. You couldn't voice your opinions. This is the same thing going on in Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, sometimes when we see what's going on in Nigeria, it seems he's not in charge. That's what it seems. He seems that he's not aware of what's happening in the country. And if you're a leader and you're not aware of what's happening in the country, that simply means you are not in charge. And no offense, maybe it's just me or me being biased, but we've seen him on TV, we've seen him make speeches. He doesn't look as if he's 100%. Dear Mr. President, please call the Inspector General to order. Call the security firm outfits in Nigeria to order. We saw an investigative journalist talking about oil bunkering in the Niger Delta. He was arrested and detained by the military. The only reason why he was released is because he had made it known to his people what he was doing and they knew what had happened. If they didn't realize that the military had arrested him, he might still be under detention. And when did the military start arresting and detaining civilians? Even if the military apprehend civilians, isn't it their job to give it to the relevant authorities to carry out their duties? You hand them over to the police. This is now turning into a military state. Dear Mr. President, our Senate, our House of Representatives, we need to sit up and do our jobs. All we talk about is next election. We are suffering. Our democratic rights are being clipped. We need to do something. Something needs to be done. And the good thing about this era we're in the era of social media, whereby our voices can be projected and heard beyond the borders of our country. I hope a change will come soon, and I hope the president would take note. He would hear what's going on somewhere or the other. But till then, stay safe and see you next time. This is your boy, Political Hamzy. Thank you.